Okay. Today I'm going to show you how to create a scale factor. Alright. So basically, the reason why I am creating a scale factor was because for class, which was my STEM class in high school, we basically have to create a living environment for up to 50 families, and then we had to recreate a model for it that we first made on the digital software that was called Google SketchUp. So, first things first, what is a scale factor used for? Basically, a scale factor is used for taking a model, taking something that is digitally made in order to remake it, make a tiny model so that you have a better vision of what it will look like in if it was, upscaled, like a big building or a hotel or something like that. You'd create a smaller model so that you can really vision what you're creating. So, basically, let's explain what my group's scale factor was. My group's scale factor was for every 50 feet, we would use 3 inches. Okay, so this is basically a scale factor. You don't really want a scale factor that can be, put down to like 1 to 2 or something like that, because then, it just gets harder. And basically, yeah, so now that we have this, the main thing that we want to find out is for 1 inch, how many feet would that be? So for every inch, how many feet would that be out of this, this? Alright, so for every 3 inches, it's 50 feet. So for every 1 inch, it's how many? So here's how we would find that. You'd first do 50 feet divided by 3 inches. Alright. So the answer that you should get is 16.7. Alright. Now, really you'd get a number like 16.6666667, but you can just go ahead and round that. So now this is the main number that you have. So 1 inch is 16.7 feet. So just put that down. So 1 inch is 16.7 feet. So now we have one of our most important pieces of information here. Alright. So, now that we have that, all we really need to do now is start applying some measurements to this, okay? So, now that we know what our scale factor is, for every 50 feet is 3 inches, now let's take one of the sides of a house that we made for my project. So, one of the sides, let's say it's 24 feet. Or even, let's say it's, 24 feet. Okay. So, now that we have this, which is 24 feet, what we would do is we'd do 24 feet times 1 inch over 16.7 feet. And then basically you calculate that, and the answer you should get is 1.4. Okay? So, now that you have this, basically this number right here isn't necessarily in, that number isn't necessarily in inches, okay? So what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to take this number, the 4, and you would do 4.4 over 10 and multiply that by 16, because inches are in sixteenths, okay? And then you'd calculate that, and you should get 6.4. Alright, so now we know that this is how much we have. Basically, what you would do is that to really find your the mark on the ruler, where then you would make a mark on whatever surface and then start to cut it to start creating your model. Basically, here how it's done. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 is the pretty much the largest mark on the ruler for the inches side. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Alright? So, basically, here's what you would do. So, you would remember for the inch that you would start off on, which is this one. This is the only thing that you'll be taking from the original number, which is this. The 1. That would be the inch to start off with. So, inch to start. Yeah, it's kind of hard to see this, but yeah. Alright. So, basically let's say that this is 1 inch right here, okay? 1 inch is right here. Then, once you have that, you would come over here and then you'd use this 6.4. So you'd go over 6 marks and then approximately in the middle of the 7th mark. So, I mean, like a little bit before the 7th mark, a little bit after the 6th mark to get that 0.4. So basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then somewhere in between here is your 6.4. So that's basically all you would need to measure, and then you'd make your mark. And then you are basically done. You cut that out and you are finished. And you've got one side, and then you can do that for every single side. Alright? So let's create one more example. Okay. So now let's say that you have a number that's larger than your original, let's say, feet for your scale factor. So let's remember, our original scale factor is for every 50 feet, we are going to use 3 inches. Basically, let's just box this in to make sure that we remember this. 50 feet is 3 inches. Let's say that we had a dimension or a side that is 54 feet. Okay? Basically, you'd apply it the same way you did the others, okay? You do 54 feet times 1 inch over 16.7 feet, and then you'd calculate that. So what you would get would be 3.2. Okay? So you just do the same thing to convert that to inches. You do 0.2 over 10 times 16. And then you should get, again, 3.2. Now remember, you might not exactly get the number 3.2, but if you round it, then maybe you'll get 3.2. Sometimes it'll just be an exact number, and sometimes you won't need to round it up. So you'll have 3.2. So remember, you start off with the original first number in the first part of the calculation. Okay. It's messed up T. Okay, first part, you take this number, so that would be the inch to start off with. And then from there, you'll do, 1, 2, 3, and then, somewhere in between the 3 and the 4, that's where you would stop the, the line or whatever that you're using to get your measurement, and then you would have that side. So, just a quick recap. You have the original 50 feet over 3 inches is your scale factor. You'd find out what 1 inch would be for a foot, or 1 inch would be in how many feet that would be, which was 16.7 for our scale factor. Then you just start applying numbers to it, so any number, 27 feet, 30 feet, 1 foot, anything like that, and then multiply that by 1 inch over 16.7 feet, and then you'd get your number. And then to convert it to inches, you would take the point or whatever number, divide it over 10 and multiply by 16, and then take the number that you had here and start counting after the first number, which would be the inch that you would start off with, which is once again this. So from the 3, and then you have 3.2, 1, 2, 3, so 3, 3.2, that's the 3.2. And then that is basically how you have successfully done a scale factor and got your measurements. So, that was the end of the video, and I will see you guys later.